Hello, everyone. It is that time of year where I talk about the Eurovision Song Contest. We have all 37 entries that are going to be competing in the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest that is going to be held in Liverpool in the United Kingdom in May of this year. It is not being held in the winner of the 2022 contest's host country, Ukraine, for obvious reasons, even though Ukraine did win last year with Stefania. And if you've watched my videos, you know I was very happy with that result. But unfortunately, that couldn't be feasibly hosted there. And now we'll be hosting it in the UK, which the UK has not hosted in quite some time. I believe it was in 1998, if I'm not mistaken, that the UK last hosted the contest. Correct me if I'm wrong there. And so we have 37 songs this year. It is the smallest number of entries since 2014, when we also only had 37 entries participating. Unfortunately, last year we had 40, but we lost Bulgaria, Montenegro, and North Macedonia. Those three entries just could not find it within the budget to return. And then now we're down to these 37. We did have more than that. As recently as 2018, we had 43 entries, which is the highest number of entries that have ever competed. But that was because we used to have countries like Russia and Belarus and Hungary participate. And in slightly further back history, we had Turkey as well. Turkey hasn't participated since 2013, since 2012, and Hungary hasn't participated since 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Belarus and Russia have not participated since 2021. And the reason why they were banned in 2022 is pretty obvious. 2022 saw the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and the EBU decided to unilaterally block Russia. Belarus actually did get banned a year earlier for sending in 2021 a very political entry. So they were actually banned from the 2022 contest. And then supposedly they were going to come back, and then this all happened, and Belarus was a part of it, and Belarus and Russia are pretty much inextricably linked. So it's a shame. You know, honestly, one of my biggest hot takes about this whole drama with Eurovision is that I feel like maybe, I don't know, it's a shame. All I will say is that I really enjoyed Russia's 2021 entry. It was in my top 10 of the year, maybe even top 5 that year. And I also really enjoyed Russia in 2019. I would have enjoyed Russia in 2020. They were going to send an amazing act. It didn't happen because the contest was unfortunately canceled due to COVID. That was really tragic, especially since that was going to be one of my favorite years. And it was also the year I covered Eurovision the most on this channel. So that was a bit hard to swallow. But my unpopular opinion is that, I mean, with Ukraine winning the contest, even though it's not being held in Ukraine, it does kind of make sense not to have Russia and Belarus participating. But, you know, I don't know. The entries that were being sent, especially from Belarus was sending, if I'm not mistaken, a queer act in 2020 with Davidna. And they were their last entry as of to date. And it's a shame because, I mean, the broadcasters do have a lot of power, but I don't know. I feel like there's a way we could have kept them in the contest. I know that's controversial to say. I just miss the more the merrier. That's always going to be my motto with Eurovision. And, you know, let's be honest, not every country that's currently participating is the most liberal. I mean, look at some of the Balkan countries, for example. So if anyone's coming at certain countries like, you know, Hungary or whatever, criticize their governments all you want. But the Eurovision Song Contest aspect of it is actually really important for those countries. And those countries have sent very, you know, Eurovision friendly songs. Let's just put it this way. They fit into the sort of queer culture of Eurovision with some of their entries. So Eurovision was always like a beacon of light for some of these countries, and to see them shut out. Now, obviously, in the case of Hungary and in the case of Bulgaria and Montenegro and some of these, they chose not to come back. Same with Turkey. There is a possibility that if Erdogan loses this election in May and the opposition leader wins, which I don't know, is it still a long shot or is there some hope? Please let there be some hope. One of the bright sides, alongside Erdogan being out of power, is that the opposition leader has pledged pretty much indefinitely that Turkey will return to Eurovision. either next year or very soon. So that would be nice. Turkey has never participated in Eurovision in the years that I've been actively following the contest, so it would be really nice to see them come back. But a lot of countries, it's more of a funds issue. I would really, really love to see Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I would really, really, really love to see Slovakia return to the contest. Neither of them have participated since 2016, and it is due to funds, like lack of funds, an issue there. And it's a shame. I mean, it's also like countries like Slovakia never qualified for the contest, I think, in the entire 8 years or so that they participated. So I can sort of see why they got a little disillusioned by it. There are some other countries that are going for that title now, like Latvia, for example. Will Latvia finally qualify after their long stint of not qualifying? They have not qualified, if I'm not mistaken, since 2016. And the same can be said for Georgia. And both entries this year have probably the best shot in a long time of qualifying. We'll see. I'm going to talk about Latvia in this video because I know this is a lot of precursor and preamble, but today I'm going to be discussing the semifinal 1 songs. I just want to give some backdrop and information because some people may not be that familiar with Eurovision who watch this video. I don't extensively cover it on this channel all the time. I cover a lot of different things in the music industry. So, there's just some little precursor tidbits there. But yes, I'm going to be talking about the 15 countries. That is kind of a small number considering, we don't have that many entries this year. Only 15 songs are going to be competing in semifinal 1, which will be held on May 9th, this coming May. And they are competing for 10 spots in the grand final, which will be the following Saturday. And then, of course, I will cover semifinal 2 in my next video, and then I will talk about the big 5 countries that automatically qualify, as well as the host country, Ukraine, who also automatically qualifies. You know my thoughts if you've watched some of my videos about whether I think that process is totally fair. I think the host country probably deserves it the most. I think the big 5 kind of skate by a little bit by avoiding the qualifier rounds. Maybe we could change that. I don't know. Probably not. They fund the contest the most, so they have to be in the final. That's their right. They pay with their paychecks gets them there. So what are you going to do? Even if they really don't deserve it, which a lot of the times is the case, but not so much recently with some of them. We'll talk about that when we get to that video. But today we are going to be talking about semifinal 1. We got 15 countries, I'll have them up on the screen here, that are going to be competing. And the way I'm going to go through this video is I've decided I'm going to jump around a little bit. So in the past, I've gone from my least favorite entry to my favorite, or vice versa. Maybe I've started with my favorite and gone down to my least favorite. This time I'm going to sort of start a little bit at the beginning and at the end, and then work my way towards the middle. Because actually the middle is kind of the most interesting part to talk about, because those are the songs that, in my opinion, are sort of wild cards. They could qualify, but I could see them not for other songs that are in similar boats. And to be honest with you, this year is kind of, I don't know. I hesitate to say now that we have all 37 entries that it is a weak year. I will say that it is obviously not the strongest year that I have seen. I've been extensively covering Eurovision for the last 4 years on this channel. And 5 years really have been tuned into it. I have been finally going back and doing some diving into Eurovision of the last 15 years a little bit more so that I can have a little bit more knowledge because I only know certain songs before 2018. But out of the years we've covered so far, this is not my favorite, especially at certain points that was it ain't looking good. There's a lot of garbage in this contest. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why the quality is just very subpar to me. Now, I will say that over some time, some of these songs we've had for 2 months now, they have started to grow on me just a little bit. That always does happen. Some of these songs may be getting some revamps that we don't have as of yet, which, I think is a little bit you should have already put it out because March 16th was when due dates for all the songs were. So why have you not put out your revamp yet? Yeah, I'm looking at you, San Marino. But anyway, but what I do want to say is that I do feel that the quality is a little bit all over the place this year. And for once, my top 3 is pretty uncontroversial. Even my top 4 or 5. Everyone seems to be, for the most part, in agreement about who the front runners are, which in previous years was a little bit more all over the place, especially this early in the contest, So I feel good about that. There's not so much fighting. The other big thing is that we're all in agreement about pretty much what the worst songs of the contest are. If you've watched already, I have posted my 37 song ranking video, which I will link in the description if you want to check out. My ranking as of that time of making the video, I stand by, though eventually it will change over the course of the next couple months. I usually change my opinion on certain songs. And of course, it all comes down to live performance. A lot of these songs we have not seen performed live yet. We only have music videos. And so that changes, of course, a lot of this because this isn't a music video contest. This is a live performance contest. So we need to factor into that, not just if the studio cut sounds good, but how is this going to look on stage? So with all that being said, I don't know how controversial my semifinal one video is going to be. But I will say, looking at these entries, semifinal one is the one with the real competition. Semifinal one has a lot of the front runners in this contest, which makes semifinal two probably the most up in the air and, potentially snooze fest semifinal. I'm looking at that and I'm not excited about a lot of those entries to see them perform. Semifinal one has a lot more of my favorites, which does make it a little bit nerve-wracking for me because if it was a little bit more spread out, I feel like there's a good chance that some of my favorites in semifinal one are going to get shut out. I'm concerned about one or two of them. And if they were in semi two, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable. So that is a little bit unfortunate. I do wish it's random draw. You never know how it's going to go. But that's just the way it is. So let's start positive, and let's start with one act that I think is an absolute shoo-in to qualify. But also my favorite song of the entire song contest as of right now. And that is going to go to Finland with Cha 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 by Karia. So, one person commented on my 37 song ranking video that they were impressed that I put Cha 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 at the number one spot. Because knowing me, they might have assumed that my eyes may have glossed over a little bit on this one, that I might have cringed a bit at it, that I might have thought of it as a little too silly, not my genre of music. The first time I listened to it, it definitely was a little bit like that. And then, I don't know, I gotta be honest with you, it was like after the first listen, something just clicked. I saw the live performance at UMK, the Finland, national selection, and I just fell in love with it. But more importantly, I fell in love with the singer Karia. I think that his physique is definitely helping sell the song. That's not to say that I do not think he gives a great performance, that the song on its own is not really worthy of qualifying and potentially winning the contest. But there is that added level of, not just his physique, but his styling. It's very unique. It's punk, but it's also a little bit bubblegum. It's giving me a Lil Nas X energy, which he's also giving me queer energy. And I have not looked this up, but if Karia is queer, please let me know. I'm getting the vibe that he is, especially with some of the gestures that he makes in the performance, fit into gay culture a little bit. And so I'm getting that vibe. This song is very masculine and very aggressive. And then it does kind of turn into, in the last 45 seconds, into a little bit more of a bubblegum pop Euro disco song, which I find to be really, really nice as a transition. My favorite part of the song, even though I also have grown to love the heavy rock and hip hop parts of it, because it genre-wise is kind of all over the place. I'll be honest, this is the first time I'm looking at the lyrics, and listening to the lyrics, I don't know, this lyrically in it for me. It's not a song I come to for lyrics at all. And that's how I feel about a lot of Eurovision entries when they sing in their native language in particular. If they sang in English, I'd probably hate it, not like it as much. Because this is a party song. This is 100% a party song. And you do get that energy from the way it's performed. And normally those kind of songs, they're very hit or miss for me. If the beat's good, if the melody's good, if the hook's good, I can forgive it. And I suppose in this instance, I can, because at the end of the day, I want to dance to it. I don't know what to say. The choreography, having those dancers on stage is a little bit controversial. Some people don't think they should be there. I actually think that they're kind of forced smile expressions, almost like sort of puppets on stage. And then Karia holding those whips on them or the strings. I think it just adds to the overall package. I think that it gives it this pseudo-sexual energy that is a little bit fun. Yeah, I actually really do love that. I think there's a lot of interesting ways he can take the concept and the staging and tweak it. You know, he doesn't have to copy exactly what the music video did or what he did at UMK. Obviously, the boxing ring lends itself to his costume and outfit, which is probably going to show off his midriff, which, you know, we all want to see, right? His chest, we all want to see that. So I hope he does not cover up for the performance. That's one thing I will say. And I love the puffy shoulders. Apparently, he lost that jacket. It like disappeared, and he's like trying to get it back. It's really sad. But yeah, Cha Cha Cha. I know. You know, I don't give it props for being the most meaningful song of this contest, or even the most original to a certain extent. It is original, but there's one song that comes for that crown. I think more aptly. But you know what? And maybe I'm just buying into the hype because everyone loves it. Everyone loves it. Well, for the most part. Um, it's a front runner to win, and Finland winning would be really cool. So I'm totally happy with the song winning, and I think it is a 100% qualifier, and I think we can all agree on that. So I want to start out by talking about what are the songs that are 100% qualifying, and what are the songs that are potentially maybe 100% not qualifying. That might be a little bit more controversial. But I feel like we do have in semifinal one standout song that I really don't think has a chance of qualifying, and just looking at the fan base and the reaction to it. And that entry is going to be Ireland. We Are One, sung by Wild Youth. This is definitely the year for bands, particularly male fronted bands. And Wild Youth is one of the many that just fall into this droning, kind of monotonous One Direction knockoff style music that does nothing for us. Actually, the studio cut is actually worse than their live performance at the Ireland National Final, which I really was surprised by. I thought the studio cut might actually elevate the song, but it is horribly overproduced. The vocals are horribly mixed, in my opinion. They just have this metallic kind of echo to them that it just fills up the sound file too much. Like it's a bombardment of the ears. It's not pleasant to listen to. And on top of that, the music video is horrendous. Having them wear these face masks and in this black and white kind of fashion, it's just they're trying to be U2, and it's just not, the edginess isn't working for a song this banal and generic. I would actually have preferred it if it was just a happy, handsome boy band group, you know, singing on a pier, you know, like just singing on a stage, just being a little bit more like what their lane is. But they tried to make it into this edgy art video, and it really didn't come off well. So the music video is a huge misstep, and the song is just, in my opinion, unsalvageable. But maybe if they perform it live, it'll sound a little bit better. They are they're a handsome group. They're probably a young group. I don't know the ages of some of these guys, but you know, lyrically, it's some of the most banal and generic stuff you can imagine. I mean, you know, just hearing the song title alone, knowing Eurovision, we're getting, you know, a by the numbers unity ballad, unity rock song, pop rock song. We don't need more of this. I think everyone can agree that Ireland is not qualifying. And, you know, it was a little bit more controversial that Ireland didn't qualify last year with Brooke Scullion. I personally was okay with it because I actually did not think Brooke's performance live was that good. I wasn't madly in love with the song either, but I would say that Brooke was definitely understandably robbed last year. This year, Wild Youth, I don't want to hear the word robbed in that conversation. Like, they deserve to non-qualify. Do we all agree? All right. Well, let's talk about one that we definitely all also agree is qualifying. Here we have Sweden sending Loreen, who is a veteran of the Eurovision Song Contest, as she did win the contest in 2012 with Euphoria. And you know what? I gotta be honest with you. I think I might like Tattoo, her new entry for this year, even more than Euphoria. There's something about the melody of Tattoo. There's something about the staging of how she's performing it. I suppose Tattoo is one of those songs that could get stale pretty easily because it is not bringing that much new to the table in terms of Swedish pop. But it is exquisitely performed by her, and her stage presence and charisma is unmatched. Her styling is going to be very slick, very modern, very fitting for the sort of urgency of the song. And the staging of having this giant screen sort of coming down over her and then lifting up slowly, which is a little bit of a nightmare logistically to think about the technicals of because of how much that thing must weigh. It's a little bit harrowing to think about. But that could be an impressive staging package on its own for Melody Festival and where it was performed. However, apparently that is not potentially logistically feasible for the Liverpool Stadium, so they may actually have to do something different. But I trust that Sweden will do it well. I trust that they know what they're doing. They will come up with some sort of alternative to create something very interesting to have her perform inside of or amongst. The stage will be very interestingly dealt with, I am sure. So Loreen, let's be honest, she's the bookmaker's favorite at this point. I mean, Finland has a little bit more of the populist kind of love behind it. I think, you know, Finland is a song that the juries may squander a little bit. You know, it's a little questionable. I think Karia shows vocal talent for sure. So I really do think the juries need to be objective there. But it's not a song that typically the juries might be warming up to so much. Whereas Loreen, you know, not only is she playing to the juries, but she's also playing to the popular crowd. She's playing to the people who know Loreen already from watching Eurovision. Apparently, she tried to be in Eurovision 2017, but she didn't win Melfest. So this is again like she's been trying at this, and yes, she has already won. She's not the first act to do this, you know, to win the contest and then come back and perform again. Lena did that in 2011 after winning in 2010. There's no rule against it. It's probably been done before in the ancient history of the contest, which I'm not familiar with. So, you know, pre like 1993, I really don't know much about the contest besides ABBA. But with that being said, you know, it's common that that's been happening. So it's not like, you know, this whole like nepotism debate of like, she's got this advantage. I don't buy into that. She is a darling of the Academy and she was a shoo-in to win Melfest. But yeah, I'm excited for Tattoo, and I had it in my second place spot for the whole contest. Finland just edged it out a little bit because of some of the originality factor, a little bit more of the shock and awe, which, you know, I'm sure for the first time Sweden will give a lot of that impression to the audience as well, but just edges it out a tiny bit. So those are two surefire qualifiers. I don't think any of us are questioning that those two are going through. Moving forward, it gets slightly more contentious. So the next act that I am going to say, I think, but I also sort of want to not qualify, is going to go to Malta. This is, you know, maybe a little bit controversial. The Busker, this is a boy band group. Once again, we got a lot of them this year. Their song Dance Our Own Party. Let's be honest, the saxophone is really what saves this song. The cymbal clashes, I'm not really a big fan of. Like the song has these breaths and then it just explodes on you and it keeps doing it over and over, which I think the tempo of it gets a little disjointed because of. And I think it's just a little bit not the most pleasant thing on the ears. So the saxophone is really what's selling the song. Give the qualifying slot to that. The vocals of, you know, the lead vocalist are not really anything to phone home about, and the lyrics are obviously not anything to phone home about. He's dancing in a sweater, which gives SpongeBob that, you know, sweater song vibes. He loves his sweater. I will say the music video is fun. I was impressed by it. I thought it was a really kind of fun play on childhood and being silly. I don't know. Yeah, Malta, I'm sorry. I don't really want you to qualify. And I feel like they're probably the second least likely to, looking at this group. Just looking at, you know, the fan base and what they're responding to. I'm not seeing a lot of people feel very strongly about Malta. So let's talk about the next act that I really do want to qualify. But the one that I'm the most concerned about out of the ones I really want to out of this list, and that is Czechia, or the Czech Republic, with the girl group Vesna singing My Sister's Crown. They are one of the few female groups of this contest. Most of them are all men, and they are serving ethnic feminist pop with some hip hop thrown in. And there is something, I will admit, a little bit repetitive about the chorus of the song. I think it does It could use some variation a little bit. There's some really interesting vocal harmonies going on, which I really hope on stage gets sold really well because the vocalizations of the lead with the backings can be really interesting in this one. Um, but this is one I am a little bit worried about for the staging. I think that's what's going to make or break it in the contest. But if we're looking at studio cuts, it's my third favorite song out of all the songs we have, all the 15 here in the semifinal. I had it, pretty high up. I had it in my fourth spot in my ranking video. So Czechia, please pull through. I just really hope that they can pull off, with the staging. I'm hoping maybe they can do something similar to the music video. They can have the purple poles, and the male dancers around them sort of choreographing that sequence, but then also with the costuming, just really kind of serving the concept, serving sort of ethnic Czech female solidarity and their culture and being proud of it. This song could really pull through. And it's also a song that I love is in their native language, but I also like that it has just a little bit of that English thrown in just to make sure the message is droned home to the general public. I'm excited about this one, but I'm nervous about it. I'm always nervous about these female ethnic bops. They do tend to struggle. So we shall see. The Czech Republic has qualified in recent contests, so it makes me hopeful. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so then another one that is probably not going to qualify. Azerbaijan, Turan X. Tell me more. These are two really sweet guys. Really good vocals, harmonizing wonderfully together. This is a really sweet love song, kind of Valentine's Day vibes. Nothing to phone home about. It's not as bad as some people are saying. I really do think that it just comes down to we got way more interesting stuff in the contest. I also really don't see how interesting this is going to be to perform on stage. I think it's going to be like Croatia last year. It's like she had a really nice song, but she was just sitting on the guitar. The folk kind of like stripped back thing doesn't always really work at Eurovision. I mean, it sometimes does, but I don't really see Azerbaijan having the fire behind it with this one. So I really don't think it's going to qualify. Really, Azerbaijan, Malta, and Ireland are the three acts I most likely will not qualify. I'd be kind of surprised if any of them did. I mean, Azerbaijan has qualified in the past for bland power ballads sung by talented male vocalists. The juries clearly love it, but I don't know if this one quite has the gravitas behind it. There's a couple other male power ballads that I think are going to be speaking more to the juries, and we'll get to those that will kind of wash this one out. Okay, so let's talk about the next one that I am also still a little worried about, but I suppose maybe I'm a little less worried about than Czechia. Talk about Moldova with Pasha Parfeni, Soare și Luna. And this is the other sort of dark electro ethnic bop that we are being served from this contest. And boy, does this one pack a punch. It means the sun and the moon in English. And this is, pagan, kind of Slavic, Wiccan kind of energy that I am really here for. I mean, if you look at the music video, the styling, Pasha is exquisitely styled. He looks fabulous. He's also definitely tying Karria for the hottest male of the contest. There are some good-looking men in this contest, but Pasha and Karria give us a little bit more flavor, give us a little bit more interesting creativity, which adds to their appeal, their sex appeal. So Pasha, he may actually edge out Karria in some ways, because I know he's got the physique, but I do think he's going to have it covered up in the robe he's going to be wearing. But I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of the abs come out, but we'll see. This song is so primal. Flutes are so exquisite in the beat breakdowns of the chorus. And Leaf Forest, I think I found my bride. River Nistru with pristine water. I got lost and it's only her fault. I sang her so many songs until she wanted to kiss me. I sang to her, I danced with her, I pampered her in all sorts of ways. The sun, the moon will hold our wedding crown. Now, I mean, it's lyrically a little bit more, it's romantic. It's romantic. It's I promised my bride a wedding under a starry sky. I gave her on the seventh evening a ring with a precious stone. It elevates the concept, which could be just a simple love story, is turned into something a little bit more primeval, and I respect it. But I also kind of love it in its native language. I almost feel like if it was sung in English, I wouldn't love it as much. I mean, it's just there's something about European languages that adds ethnic intrigue and mystery from an English perspective, obviously. So Moldova, please pull through. I have faith in this. I worry that it could be a little bit like a France 2022 situation because there are parallels, there are similarities. We're going to have more than one person on stage, with the male vocalist and then the female dancers, and it's a similar sort of. Though this song isn't nearly as avant-garde, this song is not nearly as avant-garde as Fulen, but how much is it going to resonate with the audience? I don't know. How much is the jury's going to embrace it? I don't know. It really does depend on Pasha's vocals. They are exquisite on the studio cut. I'm hoping that he can deliver on stage. I have faith. But the live performance he did was strong. I was impressed with the live performance at the Moldova national selection. And if they can take that and just sort of run with the costuming and everything, I mean, it'll be a stage spectacle. I'm pretty certain. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this one, and it's one of the songs I have on loop the most for this contest this year. Definitely one of my favorites. Please qualify. So then we get to let me talk about another one that I really want to qualify this year. This is one that I think is beloved by the fans, but also daring and intriguing. And that's going to go to Norway. I think that Norway, Alessandra with Queen of Kings, she's definitely taking, the assignment seriously. The performance is bombastic. It's full of energy. The vocals really do shine when they need to. There's a lot that they can do with this performance. There's a lot of, it's the perfect answer to a bathroom break kind of song. And I don't see this song slipping through the cracks. I really think Norway, and I would honestly put it probably as my fifth favorite of this semifinal. I think that Norway is a surefire qualifier. But who knows? But I really would be surprised. I'm not as worried about Norway as I am about Moldova or Czechia, though I do think one of those two are definitely going through. There's no way that both Moldova and Czechia are getting shut out. There's just no way with the kind of quality we got here. But hopefully both of them do, and I'm really hopeful about it. But there is one other sort of song that is the most at risk that's taking a real risk, and that is Serbia. Luke Black with Samo si Pilava. This is a song that I really am on the fence about in terms of like how much I really love it. I think that he does need to work on projecting his voice a little bit. I think that we lose his vocals a little bit, and then it becomes more about the production and the sort of costumes and the staging, this sort of Matrix sort of getup he has, where he's like the dancer is connected to these feeding tubes and this sort of transformer cyborg CGI imagery. I feel like that could swallow up his vocals, and his vocals are a little weak as it is. He's very out of breath. Like, I just don't really hear the power behind it. And that's what really could hold him back. I think he's at the most risk out of the countries I've talked about so far who I think should qualify. And perhaps the most risk out of all of the countries I'm going to mention who I think could qualify. Serbia is, normally I would say it's got Constrada last year really took the edgy art house kind of delivery, the unconventional delivery, and did something with it. But I'm a little bit not so sure it's going to play in Luke Black's favor, just because Constrada had the stage presence. Constrada had the concise choreography. I feel like Luke Black is a little all over the place. The performance at the Serbian national final had a really interesting concept behind it that went over all of our heads, obviously. But the execution was a little messy, and the vocals were particularly the weakest part. So we'll see. I want it to go through. There's another oddball entry in this semifinal that could snag that spot if they put on a better show. And you know what? At first I wasn't so sure, but now I'm kind of wondering, That brings us to Croatia. We're starting to get into the ones that I ultimately don't feel should qualify, but I'm not so sure they won't. Maybe at the beginning I would have been more certain, but looking at Croatia, Let Three Mama Sh, don't know how to pronounce that. They are they're definitely serving the oddball, but also very political kind of message this year. They're sort of in the tradition of Verduka. What was the 2007 guy's name? They're kind of taking that torch, um, but it may or may not blow up in their faces. I really have no idea. But I got to be honest with you. Watching the music video, seeing the actual music video compared to the live performance at Dora, I'm a little more sold on the song. I'm also a little bit more sold on their stage presence. I Seeing the music video makes me understand their stage presence a little bit more. But we got to talk about this one because there is a lot to dissect. I mean, lyrically, this one is, very head scratching. Mama cupi la traktora. Shh. That's been stuck in my head for the last day. I can't stop saying it. Like I just say it at random points in my day. It's so stuck in my head. Mama bought a tractor. That's how we open. When we come to verse 2, we transpose to Mama's been kissing a moron. And then in the pre-chorus, we have some absolutely bizarre kind of vocal breakdowns in production. At the first listen, it's just an immediate headphones off moment. And I'm not gonna lie, I was just like, this is a joke entry. This is too weird. This is just noise. This isn't art. Or if it is art, it's pretentious art that I'm like, I don't know, I'm not feeling. But things do grow on you over time. Once you listen to it a certain number of times, you come to expect it. You start to see the brilliance, perhaps. I'm not necessarily one for complete abstract cacophony in music. That's not so much my cup of tea, but if there's really good meaning behind it, maybe it can deliver. Mama, I want to go play. Mama, I'm going to war. And then in a chorus, they sing, that little psychopath, little vicious psychopath, crocodile psychopath, war, war, war. Mama, I'm going to war. I'm going to just repeat that over and over and over again with this shh, which I don't know if in Croatian that's like a expression doesn't mean shh, or is it sort of more of a sort of like a derogatory kind of like it's giving me shh, but it's also giving me like spitting on someone. Like it's a little harsher. It's a little more disrespectful. Now, if you look at the music video, the dictator outfits that they are referencing, very kind of Stalin-esque, and also, Putin being in the topic of conversation here, it's very clear where they are going with the meaning of how this song. This is a very anti-dictatorship song. It's a very anti-Putin and Lukashenko and Erdogan and Orban type of song. This is dictators in Europe. There's the added, level of queerness. The leads, and I bet much of the men in the group apparently are queer. And they display that they're in drag. They're displaying their feminine side, yet also conflating that with the harsh masculinity of dictators. And you know what? Like the imagery behind it is kind of brilliant. I think the phallic symbol of a missile and the way they're riding it is very poignant. Dictators love their missiles, and it's a very sort of Freudian kind of allusion there that they're pointing at. Topically, it definitely has the edge. I think in this contest with the war in Ukraine, we could see people responding to the message. Obviously, people in the Balkans are the only ones who are going to remotely understand the language, so that's going to be a huge barrier to everyone else. And if you don't understand the language, this song is going to, yeah, it's going to be very puzzling to you. But even if you do, it's going to be puzzling. I really do think that, unfortunately, well, not so much unfortunately, because like I said, if this one doesn't qualify, I'm not exactly like crying. Like I said, I think that what Serbia is offering, it's just a little bit more, I don't want to say palatable because I don't want to sound like I want generic or safe stuff. I feel like it's been said best by some reactors that, if your song is all about making a message, a statement, if you're shrouding that statement in such unintelligible noise and mess and slightly ultra provocative sort of performance that's just going to turn a lot of people off, you're kind of sabotaging yourself. The message is going to get lost in all the theatrics, and that's my biggest concern. But also, I think the vocal talent's going to get lost because the vocals are actually pretty strong. At first, you might run it off as this isn't about vocals. This guy doesn't have the chops. But if you listen to the harmonies of the backing vocalists, there's some talented, male tenors in there. So I don't know. They display musicality talent. They're clearly going for something off the wall and a tempo and genre bending, and that's okay. I mean, it's not really my genre of music. It's this alt rock kind of grungy kind of aesthetic, but the package is starting to come together for me. I'm starting to see the vision. I can't believe I'm saying this. I had the song, I believe, fourth from the bottom or fifth from the bottom, and I could see it creeping up one or two spots over some of the other, like, more generic bottom finishers that I have. So I don't know. It's in a tough semi. I got to be honest with you. It's in a tough semi. If this song was in semi two, I think it would have a better shot. I think in semi one, it's going to be up against acts like Serbia that are just a little bit more beloved by the fan group, and obviously Czechia, which is also sending a political message, but it's a little more palatable. It's also more, it's a little bit less. It's women on stage and the men. I don't want, yeah, I don't want any of the ageist kind of homophobic stuff to play into the hate for Let Three. If you don't like it because of the music, that's fine, but don't start going there with the whole I don't want to see old men in drag having fun. Like, that starts to feed into some homophobic stuff. Like, we don't want to go there, because I love the queer representation. I love how unapologetically queer they are and also unapologetically making a statement they are. We don't have a lot of that in the contest this year. Maybe not as much as I thought we would, considering the war in Ukraine, but I guess, I don't know. So, yeah, we'll see. Good luck, Croatia. Please do not take the spot of Czechia or Moldova. I think I'd be really sad. But if you took any of these other songs I'm about to mention, I wouldn't be so upset. But I still think that there are a couple songs that deserve to qualify over Malta, Azerbaijan, Croatia, and Ireland. I'm going to go through them really quick. So the next one I actually think has a really deserving spot is the Netherlands. Dion Cooper and Mia Nicolai, this duo, the only male-female duo I think we have in the contest, really sell this really beautiful heart-stricken melody, Burning Daylight. It's grown on me with repeated listens. It's very adult contemporary. It's a little bit safe. I think a lot of people are sleeping on it, but don't underestimate the way they could deliver the emotion on stage. If it's anything like the music video version, I could see it getting a spot, but I could also see it fall through the cracks, and maybe Croatia can, maybe Croatia could use it to its advantage. But then the other one is Portugal. I really want Portugal to qualify. And again, I think Portugal is pretty safe. I Corazao, performed by Mimi Cat. We have this cabaret sort of dive bar setup and this, this like flamenco dress. It's so like dive bar in the streets of Lisbon. It's so Portuguese. It's so ethnically Portuguese. We haven't gotten an entry from Portugal like this in a while. You could argue it's a little stereotypical, but no, come on. Sometimes it's good to play into the stereotypes. I love the sort of leather couch, and it's giving me big comfy couch vibes. Anyone remember that PBS show? Apparently, the couch will not be on stage in Liverpool. Mimi Cat has revealed. But that's okay. I mean, I think they can make it work without the couch. I do think the couch gives them an interesting gimmick for the choreography. So I'll be interested to see how they can pull it off without that. Just on stage dancing, or, maybe there's like some tables and chairs, and they can do things in the chairs to give it sort of like, again, that bar scene, because that's really kind of the vibe that it's going for. A little bit tipsy, a little bit frivolous, a little bit feisty. Vocally performed very well. There's some really great rich vocals coming from the lead singer, from Mimi Cat, and I'm impressed with it. I think I Corazao could be a dark horse here. I think it means oh heart. I think that's what I Corazao means in English. My chest is burning, my mouth is dry. I don't know what's happening to me. What to do, love? I can't do it like this because I don't even feel like myself. A woman just kind of overcome with love and lust. she sells that really well on stage. So I see a path for Portugal, and I think Portugal could even potentially finish in the top 10. It's not out of the realm of possibility. They've been really doing strong lately. And then the other one that, I mean, again, we got to pick 10 songs here, and I really don't see this one getting shut out, is Israel. Noah Kirill with Unicorn. Now, I will say that this is definitely serving the girl bop, the kind of Zoomer girl bop energy that a lot of the younger fans, the TikTok fans of the contest, are going to gravitate towards. I've seen a lot of love from some people say they don't like it, though. It's a bit divisive. I do think Noah can sell the chorus vocally. She's got the chops to do it. I'm certain. I hope so. Otherwise, it'll be a real flop, and it'll be very unfortunate because she's coming with confidence. I mean, she has that energy and stage presence that just says, I'm the SHIT, like, look at me. I am the prettiest thing in this contest, and I am super confident. And I want all of you to be as well. We are all unicorns. And then the song and femininimal, which is a weird alliteration on feminine and phenomenal. It's clever, but it's also a little clunky at the same time, the way it's delivered. But this song is also multiple songs in one, from the first verse to the second, the first chorus to the second chorus to the final act. It's all over the place. It gradually amps up the dance trance house mix. I don't know. It gets you hyped, but is it doing too much? Is it doing too much? I don't know. It is a little bit messy in that regard. I do like that it has a little bit of that, like that Hebrew sort of ethnic feel to it towards the end with the unicorn chants and the production on it. But it'll be interesting to see how this ends up being, portrayed on stage. I hope we get really exquisite light work, light choreography, and dancers. I don't know. Styling will be probably on point. I hope she doesn't bring out like a little literal unicorn though, or something cheesy like that. Like, I don't know. But yeah, Israel's qualifying. Are we being like, And so that brings us to the two songs who I really have no clue what to say on. Meaning I have no idea what to predict. And those two songs that are on the cusp, one could qualify and the other couldn't, and I could see it going either way, are Switzerland and Latvia. Let's talk about Switzerland first. Remo Forer is giving jury bait with water gun. He's also got that topical war in Ukraine kind of concept. He's singing about, I don't want to be a soldier. I don't want to go off to war. We're just going to be body bags. These people, these leaders don't care about us. I mean, to Europe, it's a very poignant message, more so than it would be to like me in the U.S. because I don't really feel the threat of the war in Ukraine so much, but I kind of forget that people in like Central Europe are probably like they're feeling that a little more, especially Eastern Europe. So Remo is going to tap into that, and I never underestimate. There have been worse, well-sung male ballads qualifying through Eurovision, like "Fade to Black," for example. So if that can qualify, Water Gun's a shoo-in, right? But the sad thing is it going to take the spot of Latvia, which is probably most likely the case, although it could also be spot of Serbia. I would argue Serbia is probably the next one at the most risk. Serbia and Latvia are sort of borderline here. We have Sudden Lights performing Aya. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, which interestingly enough alludes to a lullaby in Latvian, which is not the only song that is referring to an ethnic lullaby. Spain is also doing the same thing. At first, I got to be honest with you, I really didn't really like the clashing discordant instrumental of Aya. I felt like it was a little too muddied for me. It's a little grunge. It's heavy alternative rock. I would have preferred a more stripped down folksy approach to the melody because I do think it has a strong melody. The electric guitars give me a bit of Monsters and Men vibes, and it's very forlorn and it's very sullen. I'm a little worried that his stage presence is going to be a little lackluster because the song is calling for a bit of a moody, despondent energy, and yet it's a little bit of a rousing kind of instrumental, and I'm not sure, but it's heavy at the same time. It's heavy. It's a heavy song, and is the audience going to respond to it, or is it going to get a little bit muddied and lost? Yeah, I'm not so sure. The performance at Supernova wasn't super promising. for me. I don't know. I wanted to qualify because I want Latvia to make it. They have been shut out of the grand final for so long. And I actually think Samantha Tino was kind of robbed. Like, I know she did bomb the 2021 song that she performed, but I don't know. Like, I would have I liked the song. It's kind of a shame that she just had an off night. Like, there was some things working against her. I think Latvia deserved to qualify, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't be too upset if it didn't. I wouldn't be too upset if it didn't. I've got to be honest with you. I do think that he could do some really interesting staging with choreography, with the music video, everyone kind of having this silent disco, like a manic kind of cult like atmosphere of this group of people in these orange jumpsuits, sort of being electrified by his presence, which is the song kind of moving through them, the energy, the emotion of the melody, the meaning, them kind of portraying it and taking a little bit of the focus off of the lead singer, because I think too much focus on him and it's going to fall flat might be the thing that saves the song. He's a handsome guy. He's a handsome guy. But does he have the stage presence? I don't know. Does he have the vocal chops to really sell this amongst what's probably going to be a deafening instrumental of electronic guitars? We'll see. It's middle of the road for me. I appreciate the creativity and the uniqueness, but it's got a tough road ahead of it because, like I said, it's got a lot of other songs that have, I think, a better shot. And so if I were to be a betting man and predict who my 10 qualifiers would be, it would be Finland, Sweden, Norway, the most likely, Israel, Portugal, I hate to say it, but Switzerland, and then Moldova and Czechia. And I got to be honest with you, if I was a betting man, I might put Croatia over Serbia. And then probably Netherlands. Did I say Netherlands already? Finland, Sweden, Czechia, Moldova, Netherlands, Croatia, Norway, Portugal, Israel, and Switzerland. Those are my predictions, but who do I want? I would maybe swap out Switzerland with Serbia. That would be more who I want. I could see Switzerland not going through. I don't think Switzerland is the most exciting thing. I do think it's a strong melody, though, and his vocals are really good. It's a deep, husky Sam Smith voice. But I don't really like the soldier. I don't really, I see why he did it melodically. I don't really love that part of the melody so much. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's, again, Malta, Azerbaijan, and Ireland are out of the question, I think. I think they were in a rough semi. They were in a rough semi to be in. Those three acts, I'm sorry. And Ireland, what are we doing? What are we doing? So what do you think? What are your favorite songs in Semi 1? What songs do you want to see qualify? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to really kind of take my time going into this. I'm really excited to see, but I'm also nervous because, like I said, I'm the most nervous for Czechia and Serbia because I don't know what their chances are against potentially something like a left field Malta or, Switzerland or maybe even a Croatia qualification that could sort of throw things a little bit, because Croatia definitely has the appeal that Moldova had last year, Moldova did exceedingly well last year, way better than I expected it to. No one expected it to qualify, and it did, and then it finished in like the top 10 or 12, I can't remember. So, we'll see. We'll see. Croatia could be a dark horse. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I hope you all enjoyed. Please give this a like if you did, and subscribe for more Eurovision content. Coming up soon will be my thoughts on semifinal 2. And also in the description, my ranking of the entire song contest as of a couple days ago, with no commentary, just audio clips, some muted for copyright. All of that is in the description. I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed day. Peace, love, and light. Bye.